Okay, so let's have a look at the following question. So what it asks us to do, 3 tennis balls, each of radius 3.3 centimeters, fit exactly into a cylinder tube. Okay, so this is what we're looking at here. So the first thing it asks us to do is to find in terms of pi. So that just means that you keep pi, you don't turn it into a number and work the number out. The volume of the tube. So we want to get the volume of this tube. Okay, and the tube is a cylinder. So we'll work with this guy here. So this is the formula that we use to get the volume of a cylinder. So let's work on that. So find in terms of pi the volume of the tube. So in terms of pi, so the volume is going to be equal to pi r squared. So it tells us that its radius is 3.3 centimeters. So the radius is going to be the radius of the tennis ball, r squared. Oh, sorry, should put that in there. Should put the exact value in. So 3.3 squared multiplied by the height. So the height is 6 times the radius. So 6 times the radius, let's work that out. So it's going to be 6 multiplied by 3.3, which is equal to 19.8. So 19.8. And we'll just write this in as multiplied by 19.8. Okay, so that 19.8 is the height. So we have the radius. Okay, this is our radius here. We have the height. So this is our height here. And the height, as we see here, it's 6 times the radius. So 6 times 3.3, which is 19.8. So then what we want to do is we want to work this out. So, and we want to retain pi, because what it tells us to do here is it says find in terms of pi. So you need to keep pi. So the volume then is going to be equal to, so 3.3 to be squared. Let's work that one out. So 3.3 to be squared is 10.89. Okay, so let's just work this out. So it's going to be equal to pi it's going to be equal to pi times, what did I say that was? 10.89. 10.89 multiplied by 19.8. So then we have to multiply these two by each other. So it's going to be 10.89 multiplied by 19.8. So that's equal to 215.622. So 215.622 pi. So volume is equal to pi times 215.622. So you can write it then, you can write it like, you can leave it like that, or you can say, so this is the volume. So the volume of the tube is going to be equal to 215, and does it tell us okay, so it's 215.622 pi. Okay, and that's So what we've done is we've taken this volume and we've written in terms of pi. Now it doesn't matter which side you put the pi on, it still means the same thing. Okay, either way you put it on. So let's just check that, make sure it's right. So this is our answer. Volume of the tube is 215.622 pi. Okay, so that's our answer, and that looks correct. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, so that's part one. So that's part one. And then this is our answer here. So the next one then is find again, so it's in terms of pi, the volume of the 3 tennis balls. So the volume of the 3 tennis balls. So what we can do is we can get the volume of 1 and multiply it by 3, but we have to write it in terms of pi. So we're going to be using, so there's spheres, okay, so sphere volume is equal to this. So we use this formula here. So what we can do is we can work with this one. So let's do that now. So it's going to be, so this is, let's say, 1 ball. So 1 tennis ball. So the volume of 1 tennis ball, it's going to be equal to, volume is going to be equal to 4/3 pi times the radius. Okay, and the radius is 3.3 cubed. So then what we can do is we can work this out, and then we can multiply it by 3. So we can work this part out first. So we have, let's clear this. So we have 3.3 to be cubed. So that's 35.937. Okay, so it's going to be, let's just work through this one. So it's going to be 35.937. So 35.937. So that's what that is. We just worked it out. Pi times 4. Okay, that's pi. And then this is all over 3. So volume is equal to that. So now what we can do is we can multiply this number by this. So we want to keep pi because we're writing everything in terms of pi. So it's going to be 4 multiplied by 35.937. So that's equal to 143.748. So that's going to be equal to 147.748. pi over 3. And then what we have to do is, because we've 3 of these, we have to multiply this by 3/1. So that's going to be equal to, so 3 times this. So 147.748 multiplied by 3. Multiply this by 3. That's equal to 431.244. So it's going to be equal to 431.244. 431.244 pi over 3. So volume. And then what we can do is we can divide this number into this number here. So let's do that. Okay, so let's work that one out. So it's going to be 431.244 divided by 3, which is equal to 143.748. 143.748, which is equal to 143.748 pi. So then what we can say then is that the volume of the cylinder, so the volume of the cylinder, CYL, just abbreviated, in terms of pi is equal to 143.748 pi. Okay, so that's in terms of pi. That's what it looks like here. This is your answer. So this part down here. So this is what your answer is going to be for question for part 2. And again, we'll check it just against the answer. Very important. So 143.748 pi. Okay, so that's it. So that's the volume of 3 tennis balls. So what we've done here is we've worked out the volume of 1. Then we've multiplied it by 3 here to get the volume of 3. And this is the volume of 3 in terms of pi. Okay, so that's that. And then the last part of this question. So find the volume of the tube that is not occupied by the tennis balls as a percentage of the tube's volume. Give your answer correct to the nearest percentage. So what we want to do is we want to write it as a percentage. So it's going to be, so we have to find out, so find the volume of the tube that is not occupied. So okay, so the volume of the tube that is not occupied, that's the first thing we want to focus on and get that is not occupied by the tennis balls. So what we have to do is we have to, so this is the volume of the tube here, and then this is the volume of that tube. This here is the volume of the tube that is occupied by the 3 tennis balls. So what we can do is we can take this number from this number. So we can take, so let's work that one out. So if we take, so the volume of the tube is 215.622 pi. That's the volume of the tube. And then we take the volume of the balls, the 3 of them, which is 143. So it's 143.748 pi. Okay, and we subtract these from each other. So these two here will cancel out. These two will just get a 0. So it's going to be 215. So let's subtract these from each other. So it's going to be 215.622 minus 143.748, and that's equal to 71.874. So that's equal to 71.874. So 71.874. And that's going to be volume, so that's going to be centimeters cubed. So this is the amount of space that is not occupied. That's empty space that's not occupied by the 3 tennis balls. And what it asks you to do then is it asks you to find the volume of the tube that is not occupied by tennis balls as a percentage of the tube's volume. So you want to write it as a percentage of the tube's volume. Okay, so you're going to have, so you're writing this here, the empty space, as a percentage of the full tube's volume. So what would that look like? So it's going to be 71.874 divided by the total volume, which is 215.622 pi. Now be very careful because you're going to have to incorporate pi into this. So then you have to divide this by this. So let's work this one out. So that's going to be 71.874 divided by, and I multiply this out first. So where is my calculator? Here it is. So I'd work that one out first. So it's going to be 215.622 multiplied by pi, which is equal to that. So 677. So let's keep 3 decimal places. So 677.396. 677.396, and then we want to divide the top into the bottom, and then you multiply this by 100 over 1 to make it a percentage. So it's going to be 71.874 divided by 677.396 equal to that. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So this part here, what this will actually, so we can't subtract these two from each other, so the pi's from each other. So what this will be 71.874 pi. Okay, now we don't need to multiply this out like this. So what I'll do is I'll just rub this out. Just bear with me now. So it's going to be this over this. So this divided by this multiplied by 100 over 1. That's actually how you'd work it out. Multiplied by 100 over 1. Like so. So what will happen is it'll essentially be this number here divided by this number. So pi will divide into pi once, and that will divide into there once as well, okay? So that will be 1 multiplied by that and 1 multiplied by that. So then what you're getting then is these two numbers here as a percentage of each other. Okay, so it's going to be 71.874 divided by 215.622, like so. That's equal to 0.33, and then you multiply that by 100, and that's equal to 33.33. Okay, so 33.33%. So that's equal to 33.33%. And we can just write that to the nearest percentage is just going to be 33%. So what we're saying is that 33% of the space inside the cylinder is not occupied, it's empty. It's not being occupied by the volume coming from the tennis balls. So that's those first three, and that's how you'd work them out. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense.